don't you give us
test?
I want to hear those sweet dulcet tones.
And this is Sheldon. That's all we needed. The magic's happening.
That's it. We got it. Print it.
Send it.
From KOM Cycling and Michigan Midpack Media, welcome to the Dirty Chain Podcast, the podcast that covers the cycling scene from the viewpoint of the Michigan Midpack. I'm your host, Trevor, and on this episode, it's not so much about a subject that we're going to talk about. It's a little bit more about who we're going to talk with.
And this is Sheldon.
Oh, man. Sheldon Little, welcome back to the Dirty Chain Podcast.
I won't lie, I'm a little gun shy here. Like, I'm intimidated by the microphones. I'm glad that you liquored me up with a few beers beforehand.
Well, listen, I mean, I knew I wouldn't get your consent otherwise. So, I mean, for those who have been listening to the podcast for a few years, you will recognize his voice. If you just joined the podcast recently and have taken a deep dive, maybe you heard that voice early and then wondered, what the heck happened to this dude? But he's back, and
I got lost in the wilds of the Pacific Northwest. Had to send up like an SOS flare. Trevor found me.
I will say, you truly put the dirty into the Dirty Chain Podcast. So we've been missing it for a while. It's been a true character that has been missing.
Yeah, there's no trash dash. There's no White Claws.
You're not even drinking a White Claw right now.
No, I'm drinking some Modelo, and it's amazing.
We were talking about stuff today. You've been in town for a few
3
months.
3 months, 4 months.
We've eased back into riding, like getting back into the whole thing. Today we went on a pretty decent ride, right?
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that made my week right there because I wanted a ride that was going to kind of push me, but I've not been good about it on my own. Like if I go out, I'm not pushing myself. Like I try to, and then I just burn out and just limp home.
And I think that's a pretty relatable thing with anyone that's probably been really into riding and then had a time in their life when they haven't ridden and then trying to get back into it. And
it's hard having that self expectation of
this is how what I used to be able to do.
Like especially with the single speeds.
Yeah.
The 42-14 gearing.
Well, before we get to that, so you've been in for a few months.
About 4 months, yeah.
And you're working at a local shop.
I am working back in the bike industry again.
Back in the bike industry, which super exciting.
Yep.
So working for a bike shop, I would assume that you would just have one of the best bikes that, being in the bike industry. What, Sheldon, are you choosing to ride these days? What's your bike of choice?
My current bike of choice is my 2019 All City Nature Boy. Steel frame, single speed. Just did a full rebuild. So kind of going back to like, oh, you'd expect to be... So the amount of money that I've already spent on bike parts, yeah, I probably should have some top of the end, like sweet carbon 29er. No, I've been putting all my money towards my single speeds lately.
Gosh. And not only you're all city, but you still ride that state, that pink state.
That state. So the state, I did a complete rebuild. Now the only thing left stock on it is the frame and the brake levers. Got a new wheel set, new tires, new handlebars, new stem, new crank set, new brake calipers, new seat post, new saddle.
Wait, you have 2 single speeds?
3.
3 single speeds.
Dude, 26 are on a mixer. How can you forget those?
Oh, I will never
No,
forget.
that's getting yours is getting rebuilt this winter.
Yeah, I have
Like
to.
we need to drag that over to my house. So yeah, mostly single speed.
Wait, so 3 single speeds is the only way you can change gears is to change bikes?
Quickly, yes. No, I can change out cogs and chain. Well, depending on how drastic of a change I do to the cog or the chain ring, sometimes because I run eccentric bottom brackets, I might have enough slack that I can keep the same chain. But a lot of times I have to change the chain with the gearing.
Got it. Okay.
So yeah, right now if I want to change quick gearing, it's just grab a different bike.
So you mentioned 26er auto mixer.
Yes.
If you don't know what that is, I would suggest look back at episode, I don't know, whatever it was, but maybe I'll say it in the intro of this, but Sheldon and I, this brings up so many things I want to talk about. This is 2020, I believe.
It was peak COVID. Everything was shut down.
Yeah.
Our entire race season gone.
So we decided we took these old 26er mountain bikes and converted them to drop bars, single speed drop bars, and then we went into the Manistee National Forest and
packed in beers.
And I think we had 3 days of riding.
Yeah, it was 3 days. The last day we kind of skimped out on. That was the day that we rode on our jeans. Yeah, that was, 2020 was kind of a crazy year. That was the peak of 2020.
I would agree. And it's something that I think about a lot.
Oh, my 26er auto mixer's in my living room with all my other bikes. So I see it all the time.
Is that one of the single speeds that you were referring to? One of the 3?
Yeah, one of the 3.
Here's what, why I was thinking about that exact thing, because one, I end up in that area quite a bit, whether it's racing coast to coast. It's right through the Pine Ridge corridor was right where we camped, and then there's some other
Lumberjacks up there.
Lumberjack is up there ish. But just last weekend, well, I raced Lord of the Springs, which we can talk a little bit more about if we want to. But and then from Lord of the Springs, it actually was a pretty perfect bike weekend. Raced on Saturday and had everything packed up, and then Rachel and I went directly from the race up and camped at Baxter Bridge State Campground, and the North Country Trail is right around that area. And then from there we did I think we dumped in at Marilla, the Marilla trailhead, North Country Trail, and the next day, couple people and I we rode the North Country Trail, and it was fantastic. It was our buddy Steve's birthday, and that's what he wanted to do. God, it's a true gift that we have
And it's
in
only
Michigan.
2.5 hours away.
Not far away.
No.
But also it's just this national thing that parts of it you can ride on, parts of it you can't, but those parts you can, man, it is awesome. And one of those sections that we did this weekend was the section that you and I
And when we did the 50,
was the first time I ever experienced some of that North Country Trail riding, and we were on these stupid single speed bikes.
and they were so much fun
But remember that first climb,
that we had to walk up.
well, we probably had to walk up. You come off of Coates Highway, and then you just have a pretty decent climb, and then you're on this ridge, and you just kind of bomb down this ridge. And I think you hit a
Yes.
tree and crashed.
Yeah. So I put on those really wide. Were they
Cow chippers?
Were they the cow chippers, the wood chipper,
wood chip-
whatever the wide ones that salsa does?
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely clipped a tree and went down pretty good. But no, that was it kind of follows along the river, and it's this kind of flowy along the ridge up there.
Yep, absolutely.
And I mean, if anything, it's definitely not a mountain bike trail.
It's not.
But
it's a multi-use trail.
It's still flowy and
Yeah.
fun, and when we were up there, it was October, so there was nobody out, and we just had the whole. It felt like we had the entire park to ourselves, or the forest.
Yeah, for sure. And that's, I mean, kind of like what it was this week. I mean, there were definitely some hikers, but it's such a great area, and I mean, we have some great trails. I mean, if you go up that way. Big M, now we have the Dragon, but riding some of that North Country Trail stuff, it's like, man, these are some real cool trails that I wish.
And there's so many miles of it.
Yeah. And you can't bike all of it.
No.
But some of it's like hiking only, some of it you can bike, but I think it's something that more people need to experience. And you know what? It is not easy. It was very, very difficult. One of the sections that we did this weekend that we didn't do together. I think it's north of that section. It's Marilla to Coates Highway.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think that section is amazing. And so if you get a chance to go do that, like anyone listening, like go do Marilla to Coates is a great.
We've talked about rekindling the 26er auto mixer.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
I mean, I'm 100% in. I look at that bike frequently. And even after we did it, I took that bike out to DT pretty regularly for a while. And they are fun bikes to ride. They rip.
Remember that we found 26-inch Thunderberts?
Dude.
And like still people think, or not, they don't think. I mean, because they are. Like
Yeah.
Thunderberts are still some of the best tires.
I love Thunderberts.
And somehow we found 26-inch Thunderberts.
So I was going through, Schwalbe now you can get quite a few of their modern tire treads in 26ers still. So you can do racing Ralphs. So I ended up taking the Thunderbird off the front of mine, and now it has a knobby nick. And that's what I would take out to DTE. And that setup is amazing because your back kind of drifts around through the corners a little bit. Your front bites in. Like, did we ever put a knobby nick on yours?
No.
Is it still Thunderbird front and back?
Yeah, just Thunderbirds. But do you think I'd be faster if we put on something Renee Hurst that we could...
Oh, yeah. Light and supple. Make sure you have a flat every
Okay,
fire.
I do want to talk about this. So, two of the things...
No, you know how you would be faster? If you weren't riding with me.
I mean, I was excited to have Sheldon on to talk about, well, just to reminisce or whatever. But also, there were two things I wanted to talk about. I did want to talk about 26er Auto Mixer because I just rode a lot of those trails this weekend or last weekend.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to talk about is the fact that a really big thing right now is basically drop bar mountain bikes that when we did 26er Auto Mixer, that's kind of that Frankenstein bike that we were
the Monster Cross.
putting. And I know a lot of people have done that. It's not a big deal. But there's a big thing right now where pros are riding essentially 29er mountain bike tires in gravel setups. Mm-hmm. And the consensus, I think, is that it's faster.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's necessarily faster.
I think it depends on the rider.
Yeah.
I love it. I love drop bars. Nothing, and I enjoy flat bars. Like, there's nothing against it, but I like a build that's going to turn someone's head anyways, regardless of how it rides. It could ride like absolute shit, but if it looks weird,
but that's different.
That's different.
That's different than what, like.
But if you're a rider,
if you're looking for performance,
I think on the right. Once again, it comes down to the course. Mm-hmm. It comes down to the course, and it comes to the rider's background. I think drop bars on mountain bikes, I always call them monster cross bikes.
Yeah.
I love them. I think they're some of my favorite builds to see out there. And I mean, it's starting to show. I mean, look at Leadville.
So this is exactly what I'm talking about. So like Leadville, of course, famous.
Not crazy technical. It is.
And I think that's the point of why someone like a Keegan Swenson put drop bars on his...
For that course, it works
For
really
that
well.
course, because it works for that. Dylan Johnson would do that stuff all the time.
But
so Keegan also had mountain bike tires in a gravel setup for Steamboat gravel.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this talk going around that possibly mountain bike tires are actually faster or just as fast as, say, gravel tires. So if your traditional gravel bike can fit a 50 or a 52 or something, throw in a mountain bike tire and it's going to be just as fast.
I mean, yes, but I think as with everything, tires, tread, compound, I think that plays a lot into it. And then also you have to look at the exterior width of the rim. If you're running a narrow rim and a super wide tire, yeah, your aero is going to be absolute dog crap. But if you pair the right tire with the right rim and a tread that rolls with a pretty low rolling resistance, I mean, like we were talking about, Thunderbirds. Dude, a Thunderbird, if you put a 2.25 Thunderbird front and back on a bike that could fit it, and you put a wide enough rim, that's going to rip.
Yeah.
Where, like, if you ran, something crazy knobby, obviously, not going to play into your best effort.
I'm a little skeptical about just saying all of a sudden that bigger mountain bike tires are just as fast as some of these gravel tires. And I think there is some talk of like gravel bikes, like all gravel bikes need to accept big mountain bike tires, which I'm sure, but sometimes I think like even like a 40 millimeter slick is going to be faster than a Thunderbird, which some people now have said, some of these gravel pros are like, no, we're just going to put in these mountain bike tires instead of some of these slicks.
But I mean, because we were talking about Steamboat, the new Steamboat course that a lot of the pros rode this year isn't the Steamboat of the past.
That's true. I mean, this year was
because it used to be hardpack and everyone was rocking 33s to 35s.
Yeah,
which in a race like that is very acceptable. But now they are throwing in a lot more surface change.
Yeah,
and that's where I think.
So my thinking is this though. You might be able to make a claim that these bigger tires aren't slower, but I'm not sure the claim could be made that they're faster. I'm going to try to make an analogy here that I've been thinking about this a lot. Like I don't have a problem with mountain bike tires in gravel bikes. Don't have a problem with that. But what I have a problem with is when a pro does something and a really fast person and a really fit person does something and has good success with that, then everyone's like, that's the way you should do everything. And it's like, no, that's because the person is very fit, like extremely fit, and like maybe one of the best athletes ever, and they've had good success with it. Doesn't mean that you or I should necessarily use the same thing or do the same, like choose the same tires or choose the same gear and have we won't get the same results or even get like a percentage of the same results. And
if anything, it will probably blow up in most people's faces.
Well, and what I think about a lot is in tennis, and I don't know if this is the same thing now, but I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 years ago when I was playing tennis more, the pros for tennis were using these rackets that wouldn't make any sense for an amateur to use because their skill was so much better than an amateur, and their strength was way higher, and the rackets were heavier. They weren't efficient, but it's what the pros were using, and it's what the pros needed. but it's not necessarily what every single tennis player would want to use.
Oh, if anything, they'd probably pick it up and hate it.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, if we're sticking with analogies, when I was back in middle school, high school, we had a tournament at Joe Louis for hockey. And the guy that sharpened the skates for the Red Wings offered to sharpen our entire team's skates. They were damn near unskateable. They were so insanely sharp. We were taking our skates off and rubbing the blades on things to take the edge off because they were so sharp. We could, like, you would go to turn and your feet would just stop under you and you would fall over. And once again, what works with those top tier
exactly
isn't going to work for your average.
Exactly.
And I mean, this discussion, come work in the bike industry. That's all we do is talk about, because we have people.
And Sheldon, this is why I wanted to bring you into this, because I understand. I like the trend. People are saying bigger, like bigger tires, and I get it, but I don't want it to be like a thing where everyone's like, this is the only way to do it.
Well, it's just another one of those. Customer comes in the store. Hey, I saw this on GCN, and our eyes roll.
Yeah,
because it's like, just what works in the pro peloton is going to work for like 5% of your average people.
But not even...
And probably not even 5%.
Not even that. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about people following the Lifetime Grand Prix and, you know, again, Keegan Swenson or whoever is putting like drop bars on a mountain bike and doing this. And it's like, okay, I want to do that. It's like, well, why don't you just Why don't you figure out, one, how to ride your bike properly?
Yeah.
Or why don't you, I mean, like, we were joking today as we were riding. It's like, do you really need a tire that's this much faster, or is it just fitness?
Oh, yeah.
Do you just need to ride a little more?
Well, I think the internet is one of the best and worst things to happen to cycling, because there's so much... I don't want to point fingers, but there's websites that provide so much information that is just complete. It's true in a lab setting, but it doesn't pan out in the real world.
Are you talking about the tire one?
Yeah.
Like the rolling resistance? Or
people just obsess about it. And I'm just like...
Call it out, man.
It doesn't matter. If you end up with a flat on the side of the road... If you're having to reset your tires because they lose air through the sidewall, you know, every 12 hours, I don't care what its rolling resistance is.
Yeah.
It sucks. And, I mean, buy a reliable tire. Buy a tire that gives you traction that you're comfortable with. You and I ride very different setups.
Completely different.
Completely different. It doesn't make one right or wrong. It's what works for the other. I mean, granted, Trevor's going to absolutely freaking smoke me, but it's like, go get skill. Go do cyclocross. You want to actually improve your racing and your bike handling? Go do cyclocross for a season.
It's more about that than what you're riding.
Like, I guarantee, you know, if you're racing a mountain bike race on drop bars, there is bike handling right there that your average rider just can't even fathom.
So that kind of brings me to Lord of the Springs that I did this weekend.
Where someone crashed on a drop.
Well, they did. That wasn't what I was...
Yeah, I know.
But someone did crash in front of me with drop bars. That race, I swear, like, I bet if you went back in the Dirty Chain archives... We've talked about this race a few times. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorites.
I need to do it. I've never done it.
It is one of these enigmas of like, what bike do you choose? And at the starting line, I think you would see a majority of if you're from Michigan, you would kind of understand this, like an Iceman style bike. So most people have like hardtail, traditional like mountain bike hardtails. I was overbiked. I mean, my blur is like 120, 120. It's heavy, but it's the only thing, you know, it's most...
You brought what you got.
It's all I got. So it's what I ride for Iceman too.
But you know what? you have the legs, and that's where so many people try to nitpick the bike. Where, guess what? You can rock a race and probably podium with a borderline, I mean, depending on the race, depends on the bike. You don't have to have the perfect bike, but if you have the legs, you can compensate for all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a time where marginal gains actually come into place, and I don't think it's anyone that was in that race.
No,
I mean, even a Jordan Wakely, I'm not. Well, Jordan can probably, like, marginal gains will probably work for him, but like the rest of us,
but
maybe not.
He's in that top 0.1%. Where, the people that sit and obsess about these numbers off some of these websites, I'm like, just go ride your goddamn bike.
I can't agree more. But this is why I love that race, is because it's tough to figure out like what bike you want to choose.
I think those are some of the coolest races, honestly.
Yep. And it's actually one of the reasons I wish more people would do this race. It's so it's tough.
Yeah. Now, how would you feel about a monster cross bike on that course? Once again, you have to factor in rider, yada yada. But would you feel like that would be something that would you see any improvement if you did a monster cross bike for that race, like a hardtail drop bar?
Nope. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it?
And in fact, I don't think I would do. Like, I'm mostly drop bar at heart.
Yeah.
But even if I did Leadville or,
you would stick with standard flats.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't just like, for some reason, I think I feel more comfortable. Like if it's suspension, I want flat.
Yeah.
If it's
rigid.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems kind of messy to me.
Yeah. All the monster cross bikes I've ridden have always been more built in the garage kind of stuff with like amongst friends and stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to try Keegan's out though. That thing looks set up so well.
Yeah.
But just out of curiosity, like I don't know if it would be faster, necessarily always, but I would love to try to ride that bike. It looked,
I guess that's a good point. Like I have never.
And it's interesting. I wonder how he
really tried that and see how it handles.
Well, and I wonder, like, what was his rebound like in his shot? Like, how did he set it up? Like, was it pretty stiff, or did he really let it squish out on him?
Yeah.
Because there's so many factors that can play into that.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. So many people, they just go drop bar faster or this faster. And it's like, there's so much more to setting up a bike.
I mean, you're also talking to the guy that knew that probably running aero bars for coast to coast would have been quicker.
Yeah.
And didn't do it.
Just because he didn't want to be seen with aero bars.
And then everyone with aero bars beat me. But anyways, like I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of a traditionalist, and I'm fine if like at the end of the day, like it's mountain bike tires on gravel bikes are faster. Like I'm fine with that, but I'm a little skeptical. I just feel a little skeptical because when I put 40 slicks on,
yeah,
and I always ride like these 45 things like that can, kind of try to get through sand. And when I switch it to 40 slicks, it doesn't only feel faster. Like I know like these routes I do and the watts I put out and how fast I'm going, they are way faster. So it's so situational between who it is, the course it is.
And that's what so many articles leave out.
And yeah, and they're like, "Oh, this guy rode this bike,
so this is it.
So this is it." And
that's BS. Surface type, tires, course, rider, all of this is such big things that I feel like are the things that most people gloss over. They just want what's going to be the fastest. Mm-hmm. There's not an answer there.
Yeah.
I mean, what's faster for me might not be faster for. I mean,
right.
Same thing with saddles. What saddle should I buy? I don't have an answer for that.
And like big tires, I think this is kind of the point I was trying to make. Big tires might be faster for professional athletes that are really fit, really strong.
And they're pushing their tires to the limit.
And they're pushing them to the limit. Exactly.
Your average person isn't even glossing over the limit. Like, I'm sorry, you can have great FTP. Your average rider, they're not putting any of their equipment even. I mean, it comes down the same thing with group sets. Some of those top-end group sets, red, all that stuff, if it's not being given to you because you're that good, you're not going to notice a difference.
Yeah.
I guarantee. Go pick up a red and pick up a Force in your hand and tell me the difference. Other than the, $600. Like, and it's not going to make you faster. If you're fast enough that the red is going to be that determining factor, guess what? You're going to be given that group set for free. Stop obsessing with whatever's the newest, greatest, most expensive. Like, I guarantee these new 13-speed group sets, you take some dude that was smashing it back in the 90s and you throw him on a 10-speed, and he'll probably smoke you.
And I think, so again, full circle, going all the way back. I asked you, now that you work at a bike shop, are you riding the most high-end, the most up-to-date? No.
Absolutely not.
You're riding...
And I have zero interest in it, honestly.
You're riding what you love to ride.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we all need to be doing.
Well, and I'll have customers come in the bike shop, and I get asked all the time, "Oh, what do you ride here?" And I'm like, honestly, there's not a single bike in our store that I have in my collection or my stable or whatever.
Yeah.
One, I'm not a brand whore. I just ride what I like. If a bike's good, sweet, I'm in. I don't care what name's on it. If Huffy came out and made a bike that I absolutely loved and was of a good quality,
I think that'd be kind of cool, though.
I would rock. Yeah, I'd rock the shit out of that. But no, like I don't care what name. Like, just make a good product. If it works for you, it works for you. Like, this obsession with, especially some of these weight things of like, you read on the package and they're like 10 grams lighter. I'm like, what person can even feel a 10 gram?
Yeah.
Like, unless you're some Coke dealer. Like, no one can tell the difference
between 10 grams.
They'll know that 10 grams.
Don't try to screw them.
Don't screw those guys. They will know.
Well, man, I'm stoked to have you back in town.
Oh, it's so nice. I really miss
and to
Michigan.
do things like today, like to ride, to hang out.
We grilled out, had some people over.
Yeah, like we rode, we hung out, we grilled, drank some beers, and then like right before you left, I was like, "Hey, you want to go up and record a podcast?" And you were immediately. I thought you were going to be a little like hesitant, but you're like,
"Oh, I was hesitant." Once we got up here and I sat down, that's when I was like,
"No," but like you immediately were like, "Oh, let's do it." So it's awesome to have you back in town, and I hope that let's make you a regular again.
I would love to be back.
Come on, man.
I love
this is the dirty chain.
I love the dirty chain. But Trevor, thanks for having me back, man.
Heck yeah.
I miss you guys. Everybody, it's nice to be back.
Yeah. Till next time.
Keep your chain clean.
Keep your chain dirty.
Get your chain dirty.
Get your chain dirty. We'll see you in the mid back.